you better get ready because the weekend, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And before the weekend, you have Friday. And we know what that means.
That means TLF, baby. And a long time coming, we're talking about healers in Dragonflight. Not the pre-patch.
Not the pre-patch.
But Dragonflight and how fun they are to play. Now, how much healing they do.
Yeah, the fun is very subjective, okay? It's not based on performance, not on numbers. It's what we found fun while testing all of these specs on the beta, you know, in the dungeons, raid testing, questing, and all of that. And it's not meta. We're gonna have time to do meta stuff once the season starts and all of that.
Yep.
We're just trying to have fun with healers as well. Okay, so I guess that disclaimer is
it's as disclaimer as disclaimers can be, and hopefully we can answer any future questions, so we can actually go and talk about the healers, man. What are we looking at?
We're looking at the Resto Shaman first of all. It's talking about Shaman in Dragonflight with their talents, their amazing talents and all of that. It's I would guess it's up there because the talent builds that enable the playstyle, the different playstyles are just amazing. Everything kind of makes sense over there. I think it's we can safely assume Shaman has the best class tree. So
100%.
That automatically enables you to have like humongous utility as a Shaman if you enjoy that, right? Me as a healer, I love having a lot of other stuff to do other than just, you know, throwing out heals, and the Shaman tree definitely enables that in a big way.
I think it's important to actually clarify what that means, because that will actually stand as a base of criticism for other healers as well, because it is probably more important for healers than any other spec, since from the class tree they derive their utility, which is, if you want your utility on your character, you're probably gonna get more on your healer than, let's say, on your DPS, where you will probably just want all the DPS nodes. And the way Restoration Shaman class tree is, just gives you like very few throughput nodes that increase healing and damage, and the rest are pure utility, like a lot of totems, a lot of dispels and kicks and purges and all that.
I mean, listen, and also, I know there's two sides here. You know, there's the side that loves dealing damage in dungeons. There's the side that doesn't love dealing damage. Hey, there's a very great option for those who want to deal damage. You can go into Stormkeeper and do some massive hits.
And that's new. That was an elemental stuff. And yeah, with like all of the cool playstyles, all of the awesome abilities and legendaries that we've had. I would put it A tier. It's solid A tier. It retains that restoration simplicity where it's not a complex spec. You can have fun. You can go in and you know what to do. You press your heal, the life bar fills up. It's good.
Because Resto Shamans just want to have fun. All right, next on the list, Discipline Priest. And listen, there will be, I'm going to be 100% biased here. It's been like my all-time
the whole video, man. We're always 100% biased.
But okay, but regarding Discipline Priest, because...
I know where we're going to put it, and I agree.
Yeah. Bastard! He knows. So the thing about Discipline is it struggled a lot, right? People who love Discipline, at least in Shadowlands, they kind of like felt the fury of Holy, at least in the last season or so. And it wasn't like the best. And even, you know, season 2 and 3 didn't really see that much game, you know, play from Discipline. In Mythic Plus, at least, there was, you know, kind of struggling over there. I wouldn't see it to be the case anymore, not in terms of like fun. Because the fun element of Discipline Priest is there, it's amplified, it delivers a more satisfactory feeling.
Dude, it's so much better. If we don't take into consideration the new class, Discipline Priest is probably the healer that changed the most from all of the other healers from Shadowlands with how they reworked the Atonement, in the sense that now you don't have Shadowmend anymore, you have Renew, and Power War Shield has changed once again, I think in every expansion. It's a different mechanic. Plus, you get like a lot of cool stuff that people love, like Light's Wrath, that you probably missed since Legion if you've played Legions. And there's like, personally, what I think is like the coolest thing that Discipline has is in the talent tree, there's a clear division between the shadow aspect of a priest and the holy aspect. And that's what Discipline was always supposed to do, is like combine the two sides of the same coin and do like some cool stuff, cool plays. So awesome.
That is fun. And once again, it's our perception of what is fun. We love Discipline Priest because it's this healer where you spread out dots on everybody and they deal damage, and then you can you have this attunement mechanic where like all of your party has attunements on whatever way you decide to put them, and once you deal damage, those get healed. through the dots you put on targets, plus the direct damage you deal to your target. Not to mention you have a lot of like other abilities, damage prevention abilities, to like react or prepare to specific bad stuff incoming. So for us, I think there's no denying this is an S tier in terms of fun, easy mode, no problemo. Not so great.
On the other side of the table
Paladins.
we have Holy Paladins. This is something that's particularly sad for both of us, since we're both Paladin fans. And whatever spec we end up playing, we always kind of like off spec to Holy eventually. And it's kind of weird. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. Holy, numerically and throughput wise, it's probably not a bad healer. It probably will still heal a lot. You still have aura mastery, you have all the good stuff.
Yeah, but is it fun?
However, yes, and that's where we get to. Because I know that people complain like, why do you rank it so low? Because it does massive heals. But why we rank it fun is, first of all, because we mentioned the Restoration Shaman. Paladin, right now, change my mind, it has the worst possible class tree out of all of the specs. And obviously this affects Holy as well, since you do want to take your utility there. But having super strong throughput nodes spread out a lot in the tree all the way to the bottom makes, because we're not necessarily talking about towns, but if you want to build a fun place, it's like so annoying because, oh, am I gonna get that? But that one was so good, and they both work with what I want to do, and they're so spread out, and it's super annoying, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Holy Paladin was giga fun back in BFA with the Glimmer traits. It was super fun, like that. The melee healer who would just heal and heal through Crusader Striking and Holy Shock and all of that. That was beautiful. There was also like the old school Holy Paladin, which, you know, was more or less purely the tank healer, quote unquote, which relied on, you know, heavy cast and stuff, and it wasn't that prominent in group healing or whatever, but it had really strong on-point single target heals. That was also fun for people who enjoyed it. The problem in Dragonflight is they're trying to please both of these playstyles in a way, but it ends up feeling
like each of them are missing something.
Yeah, there's
like an 80% complete.
It's sucky. If you want to go to the melee healing part, it feels unfinished. It feels lackluster. Same thing with if you want to go like the more old school Holy Pally with, you know, long cast and all of that. So in that regard, I don't think we're gonna put it into a D tier.
It's C tier,
but
we kind of reserve D tier for like this is so god awful.
In terms of fun, so we don't like playing this shit at all.
It still does the core paladin-y stuff, but it feels like it's doing it in an annoying way, and it takes away a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Holy Priest, which was the dominant king in last season of Shadowlands. We can safely assume that already Holy had a lot of like buttons to press. I feel like right now it's
a complete piano spec.
Yeah,
Beethoven would be proud.
Yeah, you need like two proper pianos, like with 48 octaves and stuff, like two of them, and be able to play. And this is the thing, it's more in depth now with the talents. It's like wow.
Well, that can be like a pro and con for a lot of people. Yeah. And it can be fun, but when it feels
it's too much. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, it can be a little bit too much sometimes. You can probably simplify it a lot, but there are a couple of things that Holy does cool. You still have like the Holy Words, which is pretty nice, and you probably still have throughput. And personally, what I really like, and I was surprised, they've added a cool new spin to Holy in a couple of towns, which doesn't particularly change the spec altogether, and that's the Spirit of Redemption buffs.
Ah, yes.
First of all, you have Afterlife, which makes it so that you can actually sacrifice your Spirit of Redemption to resurrect somebody, and you'll die. But you'll have kind of like a battle res that you can kind of only activate when you die, which, I mean, it kind of sucks, but it is like a specific thing, and I would be surprised if this shares cooldown with actual battle reses, so I don't think it does, and if it doesn't, then you have an extra one. And the coolest one is a capstone, I forgot what its name was. Restitution, where after your Spirit of Redemption finishes, you get resurrected with an amount of HP and mana based on how much you healed. And I think that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty cool. Personally, for me, as much as I enjoy having a lot of buttons to press and making sense of all of them, I just feel it's just a little bit too much for Holy Priest. But this is personal. I know a lot of folks love that. I know a lot of folks hate that. If it was, I would say, maybe the same in terms of number of buttons. Okay, maybe the same as the Shadowlands, I would have dealt with it. But
I think what they could do to make it fun for us is to have certain of the buttons replace other ones, so that you can have like your rotation core, but not fill it up with bars.
I'll tell you what would make Holy Priest for me, S tier, hands down, would be a return to the old chakra system.
I heard about it, man. That sounds so cool.
You know, kill me if you didn't like it, but I used to play the fuck out of Holy Priest. I even dropped my Discipline Priest back in WoT just to play Holy because it was so cool to play. But regardless, where do you want this?
I think it's a B tier. It's not as fun and you know, straightforward as Resto Shaman, but we cannot put it the same as Holy.
Yeah, but it is still fun if you enjoy, you know.
Yeah. It's just not something that we normally vibe with.
All right. This is how I play the piano. All right, let's move on to Mistweaver.
Mistweaver.
Boy, Mistweaver is fun, man. If you enjoyed Mistweaver, like, I don't know, since like forever, I know it had it's like time in the shadows for the majority, I would believe, for Shadowlands, but the fun element was always there.
It's even when it was a little bit underperforming, we still had a blast playing it, and I think the last time I had a lot of fun was even before the tier set where it bumped people's numbers out. So the core things is still there, the fist weaving and the casting, and what they're doing in Dragonflight with the spec, talent-wise, which translates into the gameplay, is actually really cool. Where you have like a straightforward fist weaving build that you can even upgrade with a bunch of talents. I think they've added like most of the cool stuff that you have in Shadowlands, like Feline Stomp and Bone Dust Brew, Invoker's Delight, and all that.
It's all there.
And you can even like, dude, like the numbers that you have with like Soothing Mist, that feels like your target has to have like 3 times its health bar to be able to heal that much.
Oh yeah, that was one of the main, I would say, fun components for Mistweaver. Like, you know, when you started like healing, you know, the classical way, the throughput was just out there and it was rewarding and it felt fun. It was kind of known because of that. As Flame mentioned, fist weaving is still there and it's much improved. Same as if you want to go like the more classical route and just casting from afar, you can still do that and not feel as gimped as you would, let's say, in Shadowlands.
You have a lot more options for that.
This is exactly the method they did for Mistweaver should have been also applied to Holy Paladins, right? Because it's a similar situation where you have like meleeing through killing and being in front of things and also choosing to be at a range. Holy Paladin is wrong in both departments. Mistweaver is great in both departments. So in this case, is it?
It's A tier.
Is it? Yeah, is it competing with? I don't think it can
I'm sorry,
compete.
Discipline is just
it's way up there.
A whole different world.
It's A tier. It's super fun, super reliable.
So many new toys.
And so all of the new toys make it like one of the coolest. Now the new kid on the block. Everybody's talking about this. Hard to play, different mechanics. What about the range? What is it with all this time magic and this Isera dream magic and all of that? Flame?
Dude, I picked up. Well, I mean, we've been playing Preservation on the channel for a while, but I definitely picked it up last Saturday on stream. If you didn't catch it, you can catch us there as well. But I've played it for a full day in Mythic Plus. I gotta tell you, man, this is the biggest brain spec in the game currently. So I'm not talking about Devastation is DPS kind of part. No, the evoker. So if they ever wanted, if you're the kind of person that wants to, you know, like figure out all sorts of intricacies and synergies and maybe dish out different combos, this is the coolest stuff. And I think the core of it is the core ability that you unlock first with the talent tree, which is Echo, which I think is the coolest ability in the game that they've devised so far. What Echo does is you cast a heal on the target, heals for a little bit, and then it duplicates the next heal that you put on the target.
I know.
And it can duplicate all sorts of heals and mechanics, hot, direct heals, different type of mechanics, and the way you combine this with different effects that you have can explode on everybody with a lot of healings. And it's not straightforward what you need to do as opposed to other specs where, okay, this works with A, works with B, and with C. This Echo works with everything, and you're like, what? Then how would I use? You have like so many combinations to do, and you can add that on top of the fact that you're a dragon, you move a lot, you breathe stuff, and I agree. There are pros and cons, man. There are pros and cons with how it's core designed with the power spells and all that.
Yeah, some people are just a little bit afraid to try out new stuff, and it's definitely something that is very, very new to World of Warcraft at least. But I think in time, you know, as you know, we get the spec moving forward into different forms of content, eventually it will be accepted. Now there's this friction where, oh, it's a little bit too much, especially as a healer, right? You can expect, you know, more out-of-the-box approaches for DPS, but when it comes to a healer, like, people are, okay, maybe it's a DPS.
People's survivability is kind of tied to that.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
It does have, like, one or two major minuses, but in terms of fun, this is what it's supposed to be. It has to pull you into it. has to be amazing, has to keep you engaged, like all these new things that you can explore as a spec, and I think it's good. Oh, for me, it's mega S tier.
Okay.
It's the most fun healer in the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Flame here because he played a lot more than I did on evoker. But
it's a hard competition though between discipline and precision.
I can understand because I know you love discipline too. But yeah, it's giga fun. Once again, if you can get past and accept the fact that it has some new mechanics, maybe something very alien. If you're more like conservative in terms of like playstyles, then it's 100% super fun to play. No doubt.
It's gonna be an acquired taste.
You're gonna fall in love with it once you get it. Right, last on the list, rest of Druid. We can safely assume this is the second worst class tree.
It is, and it has been the same for ever since it was announced, and we've kind of pointed out. And it's a weird class tree, and I think it's maybe one that's more difficult to pull ahead since Druid has 4 specs to contend with. But it's not as worse as Paladin, but it does have similar issues where the throughput nodes that you probably really want are very, very inaccessible. They're really down towards the list, and the pathways are very restrictive. With that being said, you can still get most of the things that you want, but you have less freedom, but maybe it doesn't matter as much in Resto, so you don't feel it as you do with Paladin, and I think a lot of that is actually offset by the actual class tree, which is like leagues above Paladin.
Well, that's the case in any regard. When you're talking about having fun with Rest of Druid, it's not like nothing has changed dramatically. I wouldn't say not much has improved either. Like I'm thinking about how I felt when I played Mistweaver or this priest or Holy Paladin. Definitely better than Holy Paladin in terms of like fun. But it's like more or less kind of the same thing. You still have like, great builds for rejuvenation and wild growth and whatnot, but that's not like what you expect from Rest of Druid. So if you enjoyed that playstyle, it's still fun. I was expecting something a little bit more or a lot more improved in terms of like whatever builds you have. But then again, the issue with the class tree is definitely, and this is like the syndrome of it. If you have like a bad class tree, it will reflect into the spec as well, and it will cause problems. Not to mention all of the utility argument that you have to sacrifice a lot to get a lot, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. I mean, it got a couple of cool things in terms of the class tree. So if the class tree would have been on par with, let's say, Resto Shaman and Mistweaver, I would have ranked it higher than both of them. But in terms of like, there's some cool things going around, and I think they've consistently nerfed Resto Druid because the way that the mechanics worked and the playstyle worked offset like some explosive heals, and that's always cool to do. I don't know where you would rank it. I feel it's a little bit above Holy Priest for me.
I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, but definitely above Holy Priest. So here's the deal. They had the opportunity to at least bring back some very cool abilities from the past, like they did with Mistweaver, for example, or even Discipline Priest. Symbiosis was one of the coolest things Resto Druid ever had. And that was like super cool and super thematic. I know it was like a shit show for a lot of like progress and all of that, but it could have made it into the game. It would be fun because this is a fun tier list, and it would have bumped it up like even further. And other specs got older abilities, so because of that, it's not an A tier. It's gonna be in B tier. Let's put it in front of Holy. So this is the list in terms of fun healers in Dragonflight, not pre-patch. Like what we played on the beta, what we're kind of expecting to have once we hit the launch and we get into season 1. Obviously, Evoker and Discipline are very, very fun. Like they're on the top of what we would prefer to heal moving forward. And then you have like Resto Shaman and Mistweaver, which are also solid. Super solid. Yeah, if you like, you enjoyed the playstyles. Basically, these two specs have the similar playstyles, but very much improved.
With a lot of improvements. And,
and then you have the which we have Resto Druid and Holy Priest. And then Holy Paladin, which is not unplayable in terms of like fun. You'll still have fun with it, but it has miles to go to get to a decent spot to feel rewarding and have at least one of the playstyles be engaging and rewarding. So let us know in the comments, what do you think? Have you tried them all? What are you interested in? What are you going to use as your main to heal as an altar? Let's start a discussion over here. And thank you, Patreons, for supporting the content. As always, without you guys, there would not be all of this content available on a daily basis. Thank you.
Bring us to glory.
So check the link in the description for the Patreon if you ever thought about becoming one. There's lots of cool stuff over there. I'm gonna let you to it to explore and discover, and it's all good. And
thanks for watching the video, and see ya.
Have a great weekend, yo. Bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.